let me tell you about my daughter Adja's second birthday party. It was supposed to be perfect. We were in our apartment complex in Chennai. We had the cake, the balloons, the whole 9 yards. But all I really remember is this tight, anxious knot in my stomach as I watched my daughter and thought, something is really, really wrong here. And then, wouldn't you know it, my own mother leans over and whispers those words to me, and they just pierced right through me. She's being antisocial. It was the exact fear I was trying so hard to push down, but now it was out in the open. I suddenly felt this huge pressure to, I don't know, to fix her, but at the same time, some part of me was screaming to just let her be. I mean, just picture this. You've got 10 toddlers just zipping around, a blur of laughter and games of tag. And then there's Adya, my little 2.5-year-old, sitting so peacefully in a corner, totally absorbed in sorting these colorful blocks by shape. Another kid even ran up and offered her a ball, and she just kind of glanced up for a second, then went right back to her blocks. And my mind just started racing, right? Is she lonely? Did she miss the memo on how to be a kid?
So that afternoon basically sent me on a mission. I went down a complete internet rabbit hole, desperate to figure out what was going on. And that's when I found it. This one little phrase that completely changed how I saw my daughter and honestly how I saw my job as a parent. The phrase was parallel play. And when I read this definition, it was like a light bulb went off. This was Avya to a T. She wasn't avoiding the other kids. She was just playing alongside them. She was totally aware of them. She was comfortable with them nearby, but she was just happy in her own little world. It wasn't isolation. It was actually a specific, and it turns out, a totally normal stage of social development. And this right here, this is the heart of the whole paradox. What looked to me like a failure, like she was being antisocial or failing to interact, was actually the complete opposite. It's a bridge. She wasn't failing at being social. She was practicing. She was learning the absolute first step, how to just be comfortable in a space with other kids without being totally overwhelmed by it all. And here is why that bridge is so important. You know, that kind of play we imagine, where kids are working together on a game, that's incredibly complicated stuff for a little brain. A toddler's brain is still under construction, you know? It's still building the hardware for all of this. Expecting a 2-year-old to negotiate rules and share a grand plan is kind of like asking them to sit down and read a chapter book. They're just not built for it yet. And it turns out there's a map for this whole thing. It's not just random. Years of research have laid out how kids actually learn to play together. And let me tell you, the first time I saw this, it felt like this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. Look at this. Kids don't just magically jump from playing all by themselves to playing together. It's a ladder, you see? They climb it step by step. They start just by observing, then they become onlookers, just watching. And right there, around age 2, is parallel play. That's the crucial step before they start interacting more and finally cooperating. Seeing this, I realized Adya wasn't behind. She wasn't stuck. She was exactly where she was supposed to be. And you want to know the best part? This isn't some strict pass-fail test. It's totally fluid. A kid could be a master of cooperative play with their best friend, but you put them in a big, noisy new playgroup, and they might go right back to parallel play for a while. It's all about what feels comfortable in that moment. Knowing that gave me permission to just breathe, to just watch my daughter, instead of constantly judging her. Okay, so armed with all this new knowledge, I basically tore up my old parenting playbook, the one that was full of worry and gentle pushing. I started a brand new one, and this one was all about supporting Adya exactly as she was. My new strategy was actually pretty simple. Instead of trying to interrupt her and make her play, I just focused on creating chances for her to be around other kids, parks, playgroups, that sort of thing. I started mixing things up. Sometimes a quiet one-on-one playdate, other times a big, chaotic family get-together. And I learned to be a detective for the tiny little steps. Like if she handed another kid a shovel, I'd just say, that was kind to share. No big deal, no parade. It was all about respecting who she is and just letting her lead the way. And this became my new mantra, my secret weapon. Whenever a well-meaning relative would say something, I could just calmly and confidently say, oh, she's in the parallel play stage. It's a really important step for learning social skills. She's not behind it all, she's right on track. And you know what? Framing it with knowledge instead of getting defensive, it changed the entire conversation.
So, what happened? What was the result when I stopped trying to force my daughter to be social and just trusted the process?
Well, something pretty magical happened.
It was slow and it was on her timeline, but she started to emerge. Around age 3, I'd see these little flickers of connection. She'd hand a toy to another kid at the park, or they'd share a quick look. Nothing huge, just these tiny, natural moments. By the time she was 4, she'd climbed up to the next rung on that ladder. She was doing what's called associative play. So she'd be building a tower next to a friend, and they'd be chatting and sharing blocks, but they were each still building their own separate towers. The interaction was there, but that shared goal, that wasn't quite there yet. And now, at 5, oh my gosh, that same little girl who was sorting blocks alone in the corner, she has play dates now, real ones, where they actually negotiate, okay, you be the doctor and I'll be the sick kitty. They have shared goals. She got there, not because I pushed her up the ladder, but because I just held it steady and gave her the space to climb it herself. So I'll just leave you with the same question that completely shifted my world. Are you expecting something from your child that their brain just isn't ready for yet? Because that little kid playing by themselves at the party, they're not necessarily antisocial. They're not broken. They might just be learning, observing, and building their social foundation in exactly the way they're supposed to. They might be perfectly, beautifully, right on track.